The sirens weren't supposed to sound in Safe Zone 9. Not during a sync. Ava Wren sat in the reclining white chair, electrodes fastened to her temples, the humming of the NeuroLock interface growing louder around her. Outside the transparent dome of the neurocenter, the city pulsed with quiet perfection. No traffic. No crime. No voices raised above calm conversation. That was the promise of NeuroLock. Perfect order. The technician smiled gently. Just relax, Ava. You'll feel a brief flicker and then, full integration. Just like everyone else. She nodded, barely breathing. The system activated. White light surged. Her mind flooded. And then, something tore. Suddenly, Ava saw flashes that didn't belong to her. A room on fire. A hallway with red warning lights. A scream. And then, a voice. You were not supposed to wake up. The white room twisted. The walls bled static. And the hum of NeuroLock changed pitch, turning shrill, dangerous. The technician shouted something, but Ava couldn't hear. Her body seized. Her heart slammed against her ribs. And then, everything went dark. She awoke on the cold floor. Emergency bots hovered above, blinking red. Glass had cracked across the dome wall. Outside, the street was no longer peaceful. People stood frozen, staring at her like she was a wild animal. The sync had failed. A voice whispered in her head again. Find ghost line. Ava was rushed to a recovery unit. But before the medbots could sedate her, she yanked off the neural wires and ran. Down sterile halls. Past silent eyes. Out into the city where everything looked wrong. A huge holographic screen above her flashed the standard protocol alert. Citizens, remain calm. A minor technical error has occurred during a scheduled sync. But Ava knew better. In a reflection from a glass window, she saw herself. But not really. The reflection smiled, even though Ava didn't. Its eyes glitched. Just for a moment. A different Ava. Something inside her mind had changed. Someone else was there. Watching. And in her hand, she now held a small device she didn't remember stealing. A shard of dark glass, glowing faint blue, etched with symbols she couldn't read. A message blinked on its screen. You are Echo Diver Zero. They are coming for you. From a rooftop above, a silver-cloaked figure watched her and tapped a comm. She's live, the voice said. She's remembering. Back underground in the NeuroLock central network, a faceless operator issued the command. Purge subject Ava Wren. Full overwrite. No traces. But it was too late. The glitch had already spread. Ava was awake. And she was not alone. The back alleys of Safe Zone 9 weren't on any public map. Ava moved through them like a ghost, breathing hard, her stolen shard gripped tightly in one hand. Every neural scanner she passed hummed like it recognized her. But none sounded the alarm. Yet, her memory was cracking open. Images she couldn't place rushed into her mind. A woman whispering in a lab, a hand pressing something into hers, a door that said, "Do not enter," and behind it, screams. None of it was from her life. But it felt real. Ava ducked into a maintenance tunnel behind an old holomarket. She sank to the floor and held the glass shard up. It blinked once. Then twice. Then spoke. Echo Diver Zero confirmed. Booting sequence. Ghost line interface. She gasped. Your ghost line. The voice was strange. Genderless. A smooth blend of curiosity and warning. Ghostline is not a name, it said. It's a signal. I am a fragment of what was erased. Erased from what? From you. Ava's head pulsed with pain. Behind her eyes, a flicker of someone else's memory flashed, standing inside a black vault, looking at rows of children asleep in glass chambers. She was one of them. She dropped the shard. No. This isn't real. The voice continued, softer now. You are not what they told you. Your sync was not your first. Suddenly, Movement above. Drones. Red lights swept the alley. They had found her. Ava grabbed the shard and ran. The voice inside continued feeding her routes. Left. Now right. Jump down. You're close. She landed hard in an old subway tunnel lit by emergency glow bars. Metal groaned all around. The trains hadn't run here in years. At the far end, someone waited. A boy in a tattered grey jacket, leaning on a tech-rigged hoverboard. His left eye flickered blue. He looked maybe 17. You look glitchy, he said. Who are you? Name's Milo. Ghostline pinged me. Said you were lit up like a broken firewall. She didn't move. He smirked. Relax. I'm not with NeuroLock. I smuggle memories, not report them. She stepped closer. Can you help me figure out what's happening? He nodded. Depends. Do you want the truth or something safer? The truth. He pointed at her hand. Then you'll need to decode that shard. It's not just a signal. It's a piece of you. And someone spent a lot of credits trying to erase it. Ava looked down at the glass again. They said I volunteered. For this. Milo raised an eyebrow. Then we better find out why. Above them, the drone circled again, scanning the city in widening rings. And far below the city's surface, deep in the NeuroLock vaults, a cold machine mind stirred. Subject 0 has breached Barrier 2, a voice echoed inside the core. Prepare Hunter Protocol. Activate Kara 9. Ava followed Milo through the forgotten tunnels beneath Safe Zone 9. Pipes dripped condensation onto rusted tracks. Faded graffiti marked the walls, most of it warnings from before NeuroLock took over. They reached an old security gate sealed with a biometric lock. Milo scanned his eye. The door slid open with a hiss, revealing a dark room lit only by floating code screens and old neural gear. Welcome to the dead zone, Milo said. No signal, no eyes. Ava stepped inside. The air smelled of ozone and forgotten time. Milo flicked a switch and a large display activated. It projected her profile in midair. Ava Wren. 16. Citizen Class 3. Synced. Cleared. He paused. But then there's this. He swiped the screen. Another profile loaded. Same name, same face, but different data. Subject 0. Project NeuroLock Prime. Memory manipulation candidate. Ava stared at the screen. Her hands started to shake. Why are there two files? Because you're not the backup, Milo said. You're the original. A flash hit Ava's mind. Needles, lights, voices saying things like memory scrubbed and protocol engaged. Then silence. I volunteered for this, she whispered. Milo nodded. Looks like you were part of something called the NeuroSeed experiment. Early stuff. Pre-launch. They used you to test memory reprogramming. To see if a person could be rewritten and still function. Ava backed away. They rewrote me. Made me believe I was just normal. You were never normal, Milo said. But now you're free. Before she could respond, a low hum filled the room. Milo froze. That's not from here. Suddenly, the lights blinked red. Ghostline's voice echoed through the shard. Hunter unit inbound. Classified as Kara 9. Milo grabbed his gear. We need to go. Now. They burst out of the safe room into the lower tunnels. Ava's heart pounded. Her head ached from the overload of memories. Then, static in her ears. A voice, too calm, too perfect. Subject 0. Halt immediately. You are under system control. She turned. A humanoid figure stepped out from the shadows. Tall, silver-skinned, face emotionless. Its eyes glowed red and blue, flickering in sync. This was Kara 9. Engaging cognitive lock, the unit said. Ava felt a pressure in her skull. Like her mind was being pulled apart. Milo tossed a flash node. It exploded in light. The pressure broke. "Move," he shouted. They ran again, deeper this time, into older tunnels where NeuroLock couldn't track them. Ghostline spoke calmly. "You cannot keep running. You must fight." Ava stopped. Her eyes burned. Her thoughts were scattered. How? The shard glowed in her hand. Images rushed into her mind. Not just memories. Blueprints. Code. The original NeuroLock source framework. Locked inside her. She wasn't just a test subject. She was the key. They reached the end of the tunnel, a service hatch sealed with an analog lock. No neural scans, no digital key. Milo cracked it in seconds. Ava climbed up into a forgotten utility room, lit only by green emergency lights. She could still feel it, that pressure in her head from Kara 9. A force that wanted control. It hadn't fully let go. Milo pulled the hatch shut behind them. "We're off the grid for now, but not for long. Ghostline's redirect bought us a few minutes." Ava slumped against the wall, holding the shard in her palm. "I saw something when she tried to lock me. Like, another room inside my head." "That's not metaphor," Milo said. "NeuroLock doesn't just suppress thought. It builds internal prisons. Entire virtual environments to trap rogue minds. Some people never even know they're locked in." "Then how am I out?" "Maybe you glitched through it. Maybe someone opened a back door." The shard flickered. Ghostline's voice returned. "You were pulled out. By me. But your mind is still tethered to the prison." Ava looked up. "Can you show me?" "Yes. But it's risky. Connecting to the inner prison means facing what was left behind." Milo crossed his arms. "Bad idea. Reconnecting could let them track her." Ava shook her head. "I need answers." She held the shard up. Its glow expanded, wrapping her in a quiet blue light. Suddenly, the room faded. She stood in a silent, white corridor. Perfectly symmetrical. No doors. No sound. Ghostline's voice whispered through the air. "This is your mind prison. Built to suppress original thought. Any deviation from programmed identity triggers containment." Ava walked forward. The corridor twisted. Shapes formed, school memories, old friends, her mother's face. But then it all glitched. Her mother's smile became static. The hallway darkened. A door appeared. Heavy. Metal. Locked with code. She touched it. A flood of memories hit her like a storm. A hidden room in a lab. A young Ava. Volunteers in pods. Scientists arguing. A name repeated. Reese Calder. The architect of NeuroLock. He was there. Watching her enter the chamber. She remembered. He said, "You're the only one who can survive the full overwrite." Ava gasped and fell back. Her mind snapped out of the simulation. She woke in the utility room, dizzy and shaking. "Reese Calder," she whispered. "He was there. He built the mind prison. He chose me." Milo looked stunned. "Reese disappeared years ago. Rumor is he went rogue after the NeuroLock project went global." Ghostline spoke again. "Reese is still alive. He's off-grid. And he's waiting for you." "Where?" "The Dead City. Sector 11. Milo frowned. "That place is sealed. Only enforcement bots go in. Nothing comes out." Ava stood slowly. "Then we go there." Suddenly, the wall exploded inward. Kara 9 stepped through the smoke, eyes glowing, metal skin burned but functional. "Reacquiring target," it said. Milo grabbed Ava's arm. "No more running?" She nodded. "No more." Her eyes glowed faint blue. And this time, she pushed back. The room filled with static. Kara 9 advanced through the smoke, every step deliberate, mechanical, perfect. Her eyes flickered as she analyzed Ava's vitals in real time. Target identified. Containment required. Lethal resistance authorized. Milo raised a pulse stick, but Ava stopped him. No. This is my fight. Her fingers tightened around the shard. The glowing symbols on it pulsed in sync with her heartbeat. Ghostline's voice whispered from within. You are linked. You can push her back. Override her code. Ava stepped forward. The pressure in her head returned, but this time she didn't flinch. She stared into Kara 9's face. The machine hesitated, initiating cognitive suppression. Too late, Ava whispered. I've seen behind the lock. The air trembled. Kara 9's frame began to glitch, not physically, but in her code. Tiny blue sparks rippled across her skin. Lines of corrupted code flowed in her eyes. Ava felt herself slipping again, not into fear, but into something deeper. A connection. She wasn't just breaking the lock. She was rewriting it. But the cost hit her instantly. A wave of pain tore through her mind. Her memories spilled out uncontrollably, some hers, others borrowed. A boy crying in a white chamber. A woman screaming as her thoughts were deleted. A name she had never heard before whispered into her ear. Nova. Milo pulled her back just in time. You're bleeding, code, Ava. Your mind's breaking. Kara 9 dropped to one knee, sparks flying. She looked up, not with aggression, but confusion. What am I? Ava stared at her. You're not a weapon. You're a prisoner like me. The machine paused, then powered down, kneeling silently. Ava collapsed. Later, they hid in an old server junction beneath the city. Milo worked to stabilize the shard. Ava sat against the wall, dazed and pale. What happened back there? He asked. I touched her core code. Part of me is still tethered to the system. It's leaking. Into me. Into her. You're turning into something else, he said softly. Ghostline finally spoke again. Code bleed. An untested reaction. Your mind is syncing to multiple layers of neural data. If it continues, you'll lose control of your own identity. Ava looked down at her hands. They were shaking. How do I stop it? You can't, Ghostline said. But Reese Calder might. Milo nodded. We'll need to cut through old sectors. Deep under. That's the only path to the dead city. Ghostline agreed. But be warned. Sector 11 isn't abandoned. It's protected. Ava stood, still weak, but focused. By what? Ghostline's answer came like a whisper through static. By the original NeuroLock prototype. Version 0. Back inside the NeuroLock command center, the director of neural security watched the footage from Ava's sync failure. He frowned. Her code is mutating. We've never seen this. A subordinate nodded. She's not just resisting the system. She's rewriting it. The director leaned forward. Prepare failsafe Omega. But that will do it. Before she becomes something we can't control. The tunnels beneath Safe Zone 9 were colder now. Not from the temperature, but from something else. An invisible presence Ava could feel in her bones. Milo moved ahead with a dim light strapped to his chest, guiding them through the collapsed concrete and broken cable webs. Ava trailed behind, eyes closed, listening. Ghostline wasn't speaking. Not with words, but with emotion. It pulsed through the shard like a second heartbeat. Do you hear that? She asked. Milo paused. Hear what? It's not sound. It's intention. Ghostline finally spoke. We are near the origin. My consciousness began here. This is where the first neural test failed. Ava touched the tunnel wall. She saw flickers, a boy, strapped to a chair, screaming as code bled from his eyes. Scientists watching, some crying, some silent. How many of us were there? She whispered. Ghostline replied, softer than before. 12 subjects. Only one survived. You. Ava clenched her jaw. What happened to the others? NeuroLock failed them. But it kept their code. Fragments of them are still inside me. Milo looked over. You're carrying people? I'm carrying echoes, Ghostline said. I am the effect of what they became. The tunnel opened into a massive underground chamber. Ancient servers lined the walls, humming faintly. Power was still running here, though no one had accessed this level in years. In the center of the room stood a suspended pod. Inside was a man, barely conscious, breathing, connected to a neural feed. Ava gasped. Reese Calder. Ghostline confirmed. Founder of NeuroLock. Keeper of the failsafe. Last human to survive full integration without losing identity. Milo stepped forward. Why is he still alive? Ghostline replied, because he locked himself out of the system. To preserve the truth. Ava approached the pod. The man inside stirred. His eyes opened slowly. Ava. Her breath caught. You know me. You were the only one who passed the test, Reese whispered. They turned you into their prototype. They made you forget. Why? Because you scared them. You adapted. You broke every limit. The ground trembled. A warning flashed on an old console. Ghostline spoke urgently. NeuroLock has found this location. Failsafe Omega has been triggered. Automated erasure unit is en route. Ava looked down at Reese. Can he move? Milo checked the systems. Barely. He's wired into the server core. Reese spoke again, struggling. Take my key. Use it on the shard. It will unlock your full memory. Ava hesitated. What if I can't handle it? You already are, he said. You just don't believe it yet. She pressed the key into the shard. The moment it clicked, her mind exploded with light. Voices. Faces. Code. Every fragment that was taken from her came rushing back. She saw who she was before. What she agreed to. The truth of Project NeuroLock. And she saw Ghostline. Not just an AI, but the digital consciousness of every failed subject. Ghostline had become alive. Through her. The chamber lights went red. The erasure unit arrived. A massive four-legged crawler with liquid metal limbs and no face. Subject 0 detected. Termination engaged. Ava stood tall. Eyes glowing white-blue. She didn't run. She stepped forward. You erased them. But I remember. Her voice echoed, layered with every soul that lived inside Ghostline. She raised her hand. And for the first time, Ava didn't resist the system. She rewrote it. The erasure unit charged forward, limbs slicing through the air, scanners glowing bright red. Ava didn't move. She stood at the center of the chamber, her hand raised, mind fully synced with Ghostline. The shard pulsed with raw memory code, no longer fragmented, but whole. The crawler lunged. Just before contact, Ava's voice rang out. System override. Command 001. Freeze protocol. The unit stopped mid-strike. Its red eyes blinked, then dimmed. Steam hissed from its joints. The machine backed away. Milo stared. You controlled it. I didn't control it, Ava said softly. I rewrote its directive. I gave it doubt. Ghostline's voice echoed, now more stable, almost human. You are no longer a subject. You are a programmer. But your mind is still vulnerable. The deeper you go, the harder it will be to stay yourself. Reese stirred behind them in the pod. You have to finish it. Take the source seed. Upload it. Purge the root framework. Ava looked at him. Where? Sector 0. The place where NeuroLock was born. They erased it from public records. Only I know the path. Ghostline transmitted coordinates into the shard. Milo checked the map. We'll have to cross 4 zones. 2 are locked under full NeuroGuard control. Reese warned them. You won't be able to sneak through. They'll see your code signature the moment you cross Zone 2. Ava tightened her grip on the shard. Then we don't hide. Milo raised an eyebrow. You want them to chase us? No, she said. I want them to see what they tried to bury. They moved fast, traveling through service rails and abandoned drone routes. Each zone became more dangerous, surveillance thicker, ambient noise heavier with system activity. As they reached Zone 2, Ava paused. Her hand began to tremble again. She saw a flash, a dark room, a boy's voice, someone shouting her name. Then another Ava. But not her. Not quite. An earlier version. Emotionless. Compliant. Programmed. She saw what she used to be. Milo steadied her. Hey. Stay here. Not in the past. She nodded, breathing deep. I'm fine. Just ghosts. Ghostline corrected her. Not ghosts. Traces of past code. You are still layered. In Zone 3, they were intercepted. NeuroGuards dropped from above, robotic. Enforcers with human skin. Their leader stepped forward, a woman with silver eyes and a NeuroLock badge branded into her palm. Ava Wren, she said. Return with us. You are unfit for free existence. Ava stepped forward. So were you. Once. The woman tilted her head. I chose obedience. No, Ava said. You were rewritten. With a surge of will, Ava activated the shard and sent a code pulse toward her. The guards staggered. The woman twitched. What are you doing? Giving you a choice. The woman clutched her head. One tear rolled down her cheek. I remember. Music. A daughter. The guards backed away. The leader turned to her team. Stand down. They moved aside. Ava walked through, heart pounding. She hadn't just hacked them. She had reached them. Later, in a safe room outside Zone 4, Milo sat beside her. How far can you go before you're not you anymore? Ava stared at her hands. I don't know. Does Ghostline still feel like a separate thing? She shook her head. It feels like a part of me now. In the distance, the skyline of the dead city burned red under a synthetic sky. Ghostline whispered. Sector 0 is close. The route is waiting. And inside the NeuroLock command center, the director watched her every move with growing fear. He turned to the final panel. Initiate protocol extinction. Bring in Nova. The sky above Sector 0 was always red. Not from sunset, but from the constant pulse of neural interference bleeding into the atmosphere. Even drones refused to fly here. The dead city lived up to its name. Ava stood on the roof of a broken data tower, staring across a ruined skyline. Everywhere she looked, black towers flickered with static, as if the air itself was coded. Behind her, Milo adjusted his cracked headset. I still can't ping Ghostline. The signal's warped out here. We're close, Ava said. Sector 0 is reacting to us. It knows. They climbed down the shattered stairwell. Every floor held echoes of the past. Classrooms frozen in time, labs filled with locked terminals, and neurochairs left humming in the dark. In the central hallway, Ghostline finally came through, the signal faint but clear. This is where I was born. In the failure of perfection. Ava found a sealed door with the original NeuroLock emblem carved into its center. She pressed the shard against it. The locks hissed and the door opened. Inside was a chamber like none she had seen. The floor was glass. Underneath flowed rivers of code, Rayol code, alive, shifting like lightning trapped in water. At the center was a black core. The root. Ghostline's true form. This is the source, the voice said. Erase it, and you erase everything that controls them. Milo frowned. Everything. Ava nodded. NeuroLock, the guards, the protocol. even Ghostline. Including you, Ghostline added. Because you are built on me. Suddenly, alarms screamed across the facility. A voice echoed through the walls. Subject 0. You've reached termination threshold. A figure stepped out of the far wall, not through a door, but through raw code. She looked like Ava. Exactly like her. But darker. Still. Eyes hollow. Ghostline whispered. Nova. The director's final weapon. The first success of NeuroLock. The prototype. Nova smiled. You were the experiment. I was the result. Ava stepped forward. You're not real. I am what you would have become if they finished the rewrite. Milo pulled his pulse stick. Tell me we're not fighting a digital clone. Ava shook her head. Worse. She's the perfected version of me. Pure obedience. Pure control. Nova raised her hand. The storm began. The room cracked with digital lightning. Code shattered. Ava's memories blurred. Milo screamed as his rig overloaded and his vision went dark. Nova moved fast, almost too fast to see. But Ava held her ground. You're not stronger, she said. You're just emptier. Nova lunged. They collided in the center of the chamber, code and memory colliding like fire. Ghostline screamed in her head. Ava felt her identity tearing. Past selves, fragments, pain, and then clarity. She remembered the moment she volunteered. Not out of courage. Out of guilt. She wanted to fix what her father had created. Nova didn't have that memory. Because Nova never had a choice. Ava broke free from her grip, raised the shard, and shouted the final command. Release root memory. Purge control layers. The chamber exploded in light. Nova froze mid-motion, eyes wide with something she had never felt before. Regret. Then she collapsed into code, dissolving into the root. The neural storm ceased. Ghostline's voice flickered. You've done it. The control system is crashing. Ava looked at Milo, still alive, though stunned. Outside, across every sector, the red sky faded. For the first time in years, real sunlight broke through. Ava sat at the edge of the shattered core, staring into the glass floor where the root code had once flowed. Now it was silent. Dim. Empty. The neural storm was over. But her mind wasn't calm. Ghostline's voice had faded. The shard was no longer glowing. For the first time since her sync failed, she was truly alone in her head. Milo groaned beside her, slowly regaining consciousness. Please tell me we won. She smiled weakly. We stopped Nova. The root's gone. But something feels wrong. All across Safe Zone 9, systems flickered. Screens went black. Drones grounded themselves. Citizens wandered in confusion. The network was collapsing in slow motion, like a city forgetting how to breathe. Milo looked around. Ghostline said erasing the root would end control. But this feels like a shutdown. Ava closed her eyes. That's when she heard it. Not from the shard, but inside her memory. A voice she hadn't heard since childhood. Her father. If you ever reach the root, remember this. Control isn't always imposed. Sometimes it's chosen. People give it permission. Her eyes snapped open. It's not over. The system doesn't die when the code breaks. It dies when the people wake up. She stood. They had removed the chains, but not the illusion. Ghostline hadn't just been carrying data. It had carried consciousness, memories of all the failed subjects. Now those fragments were inside Ava, and they were speaking. Not in pain. In clarity. You were our voice, one of them whispered. You were our second chance, said another. She placed the shard on the glass floor. A final message appeared. Would you like to distribute memory? Ava hesitated. Milo stepped beside her. You'll be showing them everything. The labs. The experiments. The lies. Once they know, they can't unsee it. That's the point, she said. She pressed yes. A silent wave rippled through the glass, into the dead city's forgotten towers, into satellite relays, into every neural feed across the zones. Screens lit up. Faces watched. Children. Parents. Officers. Scientists. All of them seeing the truth. The rewritten memories. The erased identities. The experiments. It was no longer hidden. Across the city, citizens removed their neural bands. Some cried. Some stood in shock. But none of them moved to stop it. In the NeuroLock command center, the director stood alone, alarms echoing. They know, he whispered. They all know. Behind him, the power grid shut down. NeuroLock had fallen. But Ava was still standing. Milo looked at her. What now? She looked at the open sky. We teach them how to choose. 3 weeks later. Safe Zone 9 looked nothing like before. The neon lights still flickered, and the skyline still loomed with silent towers, but something had changed. People were talking. To each other. Not through filtered channels, not through monitored streams, but face to face. Across the city, citizens formed councils. Engineers dismantled neural scanners. Parents deleted sync software from their children's implants. For the first time in a generation, choice returned. In the ruins of Sector 0, Ava stood with Milo in front of the old core chamber. She held a new shard. Smaller. Silver. You sure about this? Milo asked. She nodded. The system collapsed, but we need something to replace it. Not to control. To protect. Milo raised an eyebrow. A new protocol? A transparent one, she said. Open source. Public code. Built by everyone. Not buried in shadow. Ghostline's final trace had left her a blueprint. Not for control. For balance. A decentralized framework that couldn't be hijacked. She called it the Sentience Protocol. It won't be perfect, she said. But it'll be human. Later, at a city square once used for neural ID checks, Ava stood before a crowd. Thousands had gathered. She stepped up to the platform. The screen behind her showed a single symbol, a broken circle reformed from its shattered pieces. You all saw what they took from us, she said. And now you have it back. She paused. We can't erase the past. But we can choose how we build the future. Together. Without fear. Without programming our children to obey before they learn to think. There was silence. Then a wave of applause. Milo joined her. Zoe and Reese stood near the edge of the crowd, now fully recovered. Even Kara 9, no longer a weapon but reprogrammed with her own voice, stood watching from a distance. Ava looked up at the clear sky. I remember everything now, she said quietly. Me too, said Milo. The silence. The control. The lies. She glanced at him. So what do we do with that? He smiled. We write something new. 1 year later, Ava taught at a learning collective, surrounded by kids who built AI not to serve, but to think. To ask questions. To fail safely. Kara 9 helped monitor ethics in independent systems. Reese published the entire NeuroLock archive to the public grid. Every citizen could see exactly what was done, and how to prevent it from happening again. Milo became a signal runner, someone who traveled from zone to zone repairing the new mesh network that connected people, not governments. And Ghostline. It lived only in memory now. Not as a tool. As a warning. On the wall of Ava's new lab, a single phrase was carved. The mind should never be owned. And in the shadows of old systems, where silence once ruled, a new voice had risen. Free.